And we are live. Welcome back, everybody. Deep Catcher Radio back again. Quantum Raffle round 3 underway. Already up to $723 of prizes in the grand prize pool and $180 in the virality bonus prize pool. Round 3 is under the same contract with the same rules as round 1 and 2. If you're just now hearing about Quantum Raffle, it's basically an on-chain raffle where the grand prize winners are the last person to buy a ticket, the 10th from last, the 100th from last, 1,000th from last, etc. And that is based on who those entrants are if 30 minutes goes by without any new raffle tickets sold. So those are the grand prizes. 80% of the raffle ticket entry goes to that, and 20% of the raffle ticket entry goes to something called the virality bonus. The virality bonus basically rewards you based on how early you enter the raffle. So far, there have been about $30,000 of prizes distributed to Quantum Raffle participants. Game 1 was really big. Game 2 was a little bit smaller. And so we'll see how Game 3 plays out. You can let's take a look at the analytics page to kind of see how this is so cool. Shout out to Hexgeta. He made an awesome analytics page. So let's go ahead and share. So right now you see Game 3 is underway. So far, 34 tickets in Game 3. Here you can see how the adoption pool grows. Oh, and this is such a cool feature that he made, where you can click on who the top 20 entrants are, and you can see their actual when they actually got their tickets. So right here, oh my gosh, I think I've seen this address before in some of the other ones. They actually put in 12 million pulse into the raffle, and that's pretty exciting. Let's see what this guy did. Oh, okay. I think, is this him? Is this the bot? It's pretty crazy. What you see is if you look back at Game 2, okay. Oh, is this the bot? Yeah. So someone must be running some type of dollar cost average bot, which is hilarious to think that someone is dollar cost averaging into a raffle. But it's actually been quite effective. In round 1, this person won one of the prizes. So there are 4 grand prizes in round 1. And in round 2, they won 2 out of the 3 grand prizes, doing basically dollar cost averaging. It seems like a pretty crude bot. A couple things that you can kind of notice from its activity. One, there are times where it has numerous winning entries in the docket, meaning it's like the 10th from last or 100th from last, but they still continue to enter. So like, I don't know if that's like intentional, or if they just like if like asked Chat GPT to make a bot and they didn't really know how to, add some nuance to the strategy. I don't know exactly what the deal is, but so far it's been pretty effective. I think mainly it's just because they've been consistent in spreading out their entries. So that's kind of interesting to see that play out, where they have, where they're basically just like grinding away and entering it. Game 2, I don't know if they set a limit, because they put about $500 in exactly. So I don't know if they put in some limit where they were going to buy however many tickets they bought in that round, or what it was, but it stopped. But I mean, if you look at round 1, I mean, they were just grinding it out. 267 tickets in round 1. this person even got even more tickets, but I don't even think they want a prize because look, this person put in, oh my god, that's so much, and they didn't even win. But they'll get a lot of Q points. I mean, this person got a ton of Q points, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Um, but yeah, so this is the one to watch if you're kind of analyzing what's happening in round 3. Let's see if they've got in the game. Okay, so they actually, wow, so they actually bought 3 so far, and then they haven't bought yet any further. So overall, pretty cool to see um, how that is playing out. Um, so yeah, Hex Jita, I'm here for the tech, Quantum Raffle tech. Um, so basically, what? Here, let me pull up. Actually, I mean, we can just leave here. I think it updates over time. Um, so, um, so this is the third round of Quantum Raffle. Learned a lot about just kind of like the gameplay and some of the dynamics, seeing round 1 and 2 play out. And we have a chat group for people that are interested on Twitter where we just talk about these things and done some analysis on just like the outcomes and how people participate, and have come up with a number of good ways to modify the rule set for just to introduce different dynamics, change how prize distribution works, and various things like that. So the plan is to here in the next couple weeks roll out V2 of Quantum Raffle, which will do a couple of things. One, allow more configurability for different game rule sets. And the rules are really driven by, there's like a single variable that drives a lot of the rules. And what that variable is the log base that all the prize math for both the grand prizes and the virality bonuses are driven by, as is the log base. It's all based around log base 10. So that's like 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, etc. So that's what, like, all, that's how the grand prizes are distributed, and that's how the virality bonus teams are segmented. But that's really just like one of many possible ways to orient the game. And so and that's like a pretty easy lever to pull to do, to kind of change different dynamics. So having a high log base as the basis for the rules, what that means is that you have fewer winners, but you're winning bigger prizes. And it means that like each next virality bonus team to fill up, and for each next virality bonus payout to happen, the size of the game needs to, like the size of the number of participants needs to grow by 10x. So log base 10 is, is like the way you calculate how many winners there are is you take log base 10 of the total number of entrants plus 1, basically rounded up. And that's how many winners. And so if we were to do, say, log base 2, rather than it being 1, 10, 100, 1,000, etc., it would be 2. It would be 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048, 4096, etc. And so in that setting, there would be a lot more prize winners because rather than virality bonus happening every time it goes up by 10, it's happening every time the prize pool doubles. And instead of it being 1, 10, 100, 1,000 slots from the end winning the grand prize, it would be 1, 2, 4, 8. So a lot more people would be winning. That means the prizes would be smaller, but more people are winning. Virality bonuses, payouts go out more often. The virality bonus won't necessarily be bigger for it. The virality bonus would be a little bit more equally distributed compared to log base 10, where the first 10 slots are quite big, and then like their virality bonus payout. So it kind of equalizes the virality bonus payouts more. There's still a benefit to getting in earlier, but it's not as drastic. And those payouts just happen more frequently. So and I mean, really, any number in between can be a viable one. So, what Quantum Raffle V2 is going to have is, instead of hard coding the log base 10 rule set, we are going to make it such that each game can be started under a different one. So right now, a game is basically kicked off by the host address. Without setting any rules for that game. But what this next set is going to have is, when a game is kicked off, it'll declare that what that log base is. So, okay, and there's even a couple ways to do it. Like, for instance, the grand prizes can still operate on in a log base 10, but the virality bonus could move to log base 2. So they don't necessarily need to be the same number. So that could be the dynamic there too. So that's kind of the big change there. And then, kind of alongside that, if you participate in the Quantum Raffle, if you look at your dashboard, you'll see something called your Q points. So there's kind of two categories of points that the contract currently tracks. One is based on your entries. So every time you enter, you get X number of, you get 200 Q points per entry. And if you win a grand prize, you get something called these Q master points. So there's kind of two categories of points that the contract tracks. Currently, those points mean nothing, but what the plan is for those points to convert into kind of a governance unit for the Quantum Raffle system. And so that would mean to maybe the governance ones are how the log bases are determined for each game. Maybe that comes down to a vote that gets kicked off. And also, right now there's not really a fee in the Quantum Raffle, but perhaps that there's room to bake in a fee, and then the governance unit that you get from having these Q points gets to collect from that. And so, game 3 right now, this is the last time you'll be able to get those Q points, and then those Q points are going to be what convert into the governance unit. And so there are a couple things outside of the scope of the game that I think the governance could be useful for. One is they could vote on things like new supply issuance of whatever they get airdropped. And so maybe that new supply would go into a liquidity pool. Maybe that new supply is just sold off, and then all the holders of that unit would get to collect from those proceeds. So more on that, but that's kind of the general idea, is that that there's some type of kind of distributed governance around this, and then that can kind of help the game grow and operate fully autonomously. And so that's the plan with those points. And so round 3 is the last time you can get them. Shell Fox says, "Let's go gambling." It's not gambling. It's a raffle. always trying to wave collapse the win. Hell yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's like you never know when it's gonna end. It's like someone just bought another ticket because just reset. Yep. You kind of bring up an interesting point, and this is something that I mean, it kind of goes into like why I'm interested in this category. Um, I've said it before, but I really do think that the crypto world is kind of like a canary in the coal mine for the rest of society. I think that because there's real money at stake in this world, and it's something that's accessible by everyone on earth 24 hours a day, and there's no permissions to interact with things on chain. It actually it showcases a lot about just like the general psychology of humanity, and I think it's early. Um, like for instance, when the federal interest rates were artificially low, the crypto DeFi interest rates were much higher. They were signaling higher rates, like because it's like a natural free market setting those rates, and then the rates soon followed. Um, and then also, I think that kind of the how the main use case of crypto over the last 2 years has been like this hyper gambling, like meme coin, rotate from thing to thing, like try to get in early to something that's going to pump so you can get out quickly, and like drastically shorter time horizons, drastically higher risk, kind of like a get rich or die trying type of situation. Um, I think I feel like that type of feeling is going to continue to increase in the broader world. I think a lot of that has to do with um, the feeling of AI, like basically making it where the top performing people are much more effective and they don't even need to hire as many lower performing people. And, um, like if in the past, the federal government has been a major employer of kind of like mid to underperforming people, and that is like seems to be going away. Um, and just the world is getting more and more competitive. Um, Countries in the past that weren't competitive are now producing a lot of people that are highly competitive. Um, you know, Birth rates in the West are decreasing while birth rates in other parts of the world are increasing. So like all these factors, I think are going to kind of create um, this proletariat class that maybe feels like their only hope for any type of wealth is speculating online. And I think that's like a total, and you see it with like, the increased popularity of sports betting and just like betting on anything. And like the, I think that actually is like a sign of like the world to come. And as bleak as that sounds, like it's reality, and you kind of have to service to what reality is. Like it may not be what everyone wants, but um, so I do actually think that there's only going to be increased demand for highly speculative use cases um, on chain, and that's kind of what I'm trying to explore. I think that like the token trading model, like that's just one use case. It feels a little bit exhausted and it feels a little bit oversaturated. Um, and so that's why I'm really interested in exploring these alternative speculative models, because I really feel like that's kind of where it's like the highly productive people are going to have powerful AI to help them engage in business, and the not so productive people are going to be doing blue collar work, which I think like will become more and more in style. And like you even see it like you go into like an Abercrombie store. In the past, Abercrombie used to be kind of like old money preppy stuff. Now Abercrombie's like camo, NASCAR, all that. Like brands like Carhartt are becoming more popular amongst like the college educated female, uh, you know, class. And so I think that, like where a lot of people have been kind of in like white collar or like online email jobs, I think a lot of that's going away. Probably what's going to be left are either the blue collar jobs or like the trades, which I think is generally good. I think those are actually healthy. Um, like if you're doing outdoor labor as a profession, like that's actually a pretty healthy activity, unless you're getting injured. But just being outdoors with others, doing things with your hands, that's actually quite healthy. So I think there could be some benefits for that. Um, but yeah, I think that just like the way that the order of society is going, there's um, you know there's a whole open design space for new types of online speculation, both for like the entertainment piece and also just like how gains and losses are allocated. Like that's really what the killer use case of blockchain is allocating gains and losses. And I think that the token trading format is just one of many possible formats for that. So I think there's a lot of space to continue developing in this and other games. I mean, I've always loved designing games, and mostly kind of like in-person games. But now that the just like I think I mean this is really kind of the first game that I've built on chain, and there's a bunch of other games that I've wanted to create, that'll probably be in the docket as well. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking like the next 10 to 20 years goes is just kind of like a real reorientation around the labor class, um, who's doing business and what types of opportunities are available for people. So we shall see. Mixed Mix, aka Jostle, says backed by popular demand. Wild West at the moment. Yeah, I mean it really is. Um, but I mean it's got that. I feel like that's a source of opportunity. Um, everything around the world is resetting. Things are very different now, and they will probably continue to change and escalate. Mix decades. I set that trend. What trend are you talking about? How all the white college educated women are wearing Carhartt now? That may be like years old. That I feel like that was like a year or two ago. So maybe different now, but you know what I mean. Let's see what's up in the raffle. If any new tickets have been sold. Yep. $751 grand prize pool. Refresh this page. $37. Wow, this guy got 24 of the tickets. One, two. Okay, so they bought 10 at a time here. Oh my God. Do you know what that happened? They were probably racing to get in to, yeah, so that's definitely what happened. They were probably trying to fill up the team one, and these got, yeah, that's definitely what they're doing. So they were trying to fill up team one for the virality bonus, and then these transactions went through after. So they got 20 of those first tickets. Worker bees. Yeah, I mean it's like especially if like you never know what's going to happen with kind of the role of migrant workers in that. Like if they're serious about like really, I mean, and someone posted today the number of illegal border crossings like from a year ago to now, drastically different. And if they're serious about doing that, then probably what that means is that increased wages for those type of hard labor roles and because there are now suddenly less people who are filling those positions, and so um, that very well could be an outcome where more and more American citizens are you know out there working in the orange grove, um, and doing construction work. I've always thought it would be. I think because I actually do really enjoy. I love doing like hard labor, like in the yard, like planting the lawn or like you know cutting wood, like doing whatever, building stuff. And I feel like that's the goal, is to be wealthy enough to where you can afford to do uh, blue collar labor. I think that's the goal. Um, but yeah, I think that maybe there's, if all this, if government spending goes from the kind of like administrative type of things into like physical infrastructure, then maybe there's a lot of opportunity for growth in the construction industry, um, and that like maybe that's where a lot of people who otherwise would have like entered into like roles that now like AI is doing, basically like email jobs or whatever. Maybe a lot more people enter into that type of space, and maybe that becomes more in vogue. Um, all black Carhartt suit, yeah. I just got some denim Carhartt overalls. They're sick. But I'm kind of, I feel like I'm kind of in the middle of like, you know, technology professional and just like bodunk regular guy. So maybe there's opportunity for me in that world. So if you're watching this on Twitter, go ahead and retweet the link. Looks like the comments are coming in from YouTube. I just tweeted out my tweet said, discussing things like quantum raffle fit into the changing world order, labor market disruption from AI, shift in government spending policy, high risk speculation is the new American dream, which really feels like that's what it is. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's that. I think there's a couple new American dreams. One is just like the high risk speculation, um, and that maybe, I think that's probably more common amongst, like if you were to measure everyone on Earth, like measure um, their productive capacity or like their creative capacity, um, like probably the high risk speculation is probably on the lower end of the like creative or productive capacity. Um, nothing wrong with that. But it's just like, like if given tools, like what can you do with them? Um, but there's kind of I've noticed this other kind of emerging uh, American dream, which now that AI is kind of empowering a lot of people to do, is people who otherwise couldn't necessarily build software or build products that are useful by other people. Now with these AI tools that are just only getting better every week, they really can. So there's kind of the two areas of like emerging new American dream that I see, which are one, just like getting rich speculating, or two, getting rich by building some software product that 10,000 people pay $100 for, like that type of scale. So not like major, multi-billion-dollar businesses that are, require big capital expenditure and like serious like sales and fulfillment mechanisms that require investment, like VC investment or whatever. But people just independently, using tools like Cursor and Claude, um, being able to produce software that can drive income. So there's kind of two emerging things. I think both kind of like the odds of success in either are probably equal. Like it's hard to make $1 million in anything. And maybe in the maybe like, because everyone wants to be like a crypto millionaire. But if you think about it, how like how many how many actual dollars are available to like do that? So say there's like $1 billion worth of like new demand into crypto. That $1 billion is can account for 1,000 millionaires. So like, um, it's very low odds, and that's why the risk is so high, and very few number of people capture that, which is like why you can turn a little bit of money into a lot of bit of money in kind of like the high risk speculation use case. But that's because there's a lot of people turning some amount of money into nothing. Like these are zero sum financial markets. They're even negative sum, and so these are like you can only have as many millionaires as the inbound funds can support, and that only gets more and more competitive. And then so that's highly competitive, low probability of success, but when it pays out, it pays out. And maybe that's kind of similar to people trying to build software products, is that maybe it's like less competitive in terms of numbers, because like at any given time there's probably millions and millions of people trying to like speculate online, but like maybe tens of thousands of people or like 100,000 people trying to build something. And so maybe it's a little less competitive in that sense, but also like your real competition are like the highly effective people who were expert software engineers or product builders or marketers before AI, and now like they have the same AI tools that like the other group of people do, and now those are like the big competitors. So that's probably what the effect of AI is really going to be, is that like the top 1% of performers are just going to become like unbelievably effective and be able to outcompete everyone, and then everyone else is going to reach some kind of basic level. So I think that space is still very, very competitive, and AI is probably going to make it just more competitive. So that's kind of just the reality of reality of a world where it sure feels like the amount of growth that happened as a result of like the internet occurring, that was like a big wave of like growth. And now a lot of that it seems like there's a lot of kind of just consolidation happening. Maybe the crypto space is like an avenue for future growth. But I probably the next 30 years is going to be very different than the past 30 years. And kind of the up only growth trend since the 1920s. That just might not be the case anymore. If that's not the case anymore, then you can expect things to just get more and more competitive. I wonder if the bot guy is gonna keep dollar cost averaging into the raffle. Let's talk about prices. So let's look at the pulse chart. Let's just zoom out to the all-time. What a brutal ride, honestly. Let's look at the market cap. So, I mean, when I look at this, I mean, really, a couple things that I think. It's a $300 million market cap on Pulse. Well, so that's Wrap Pulse. So, um, let me see what the actual. Yeah, so market cap, if you exclude the OA, is $652 million market cap. And that $652 million market cap is spread over let's see how much funds are in the bridge. So the amount of value bridged into the chain is 106 million. If you omit $22 million worth of EHEX bridged in, then that is about $84 million. So the 600 over 84 comes out to there's about 7 times as much paper value just in PLS than there is total funds on the bridge. And like I $600 million market cap. Maybe that is accurate. Probably one of the main problems is that Pulse is kind of like an extension on the hex value as of the sacrifice time. And so Pulse being down 60% from SAC value, and SAC value was basically hex at 20 cents. That puts the equivalent price around 8 cents of hex. And so if you had sacrificed hex for Pulse and then just held it, you now have, from your perspective, it's like as if the hex price was 8 cents instead of what it is now, which is like, if you take the combined hex price, which is like 1.2 right now. So I feel like that has to come together. Either the hex price goes up or the Pulse price comes down, just to kind of resolve that that dynamic of the Pulse supply issuance. There's been a couple waves of demand I think that one about a year ago was highly OA driven. I think a lot, if you look back, a lot of that was just like injection of capital from um, the SAC funds, and just got yoinked right back up. And then there was kind of like that renewed wave of demand, which appeared organic in, between September and December of 2024. But then you see that big candle down from that Interpol news, and now prices even lower. Um, I think that what it is, part of it is just like PLS probably was overvalued from the start, and so it has to kind of work out that overvaluedness. Um, General just dilution and competitive forces amongst its own ecosystem, and just in general not being that competitive. You look at how, like, it's very different. Like a coin like Hex, that is one thing. It's kind of like a single purpose use. But to be a blockchain, like blockchains are basically businesses that sell permanent data slots. And so it kind of has to be treated like that. It needs to be treated like a serious business, which is different than coins like Hex. And so, you know, a lot of funds were raised, but not much really deployed, and not any apparent kind of organizational effort to try to drive adoption. It's just like, oh, the community, it's your job to grow the chain. Um, that's just very difficult to do when the main competitors are, one, Ethereum, which has such a strong first mover advantage and such strong capital network effects to compete against. Two, things like Base, which are like, ETH is like cannibalizing itself by pushing towards this like L2 model. And some of these L2s are highly funded, like Base, which is operated by Coinbase. So it's operated by a company itself that's very effective, and it has huge revenues from their main trading products. And then things like Solana, which had raised a lot of money and operate like a serious software business. And so when you're in that space, those are your competitors, and those competitors are kicking ass, not just like tweeting. So I think that just like part of the underperformance, other than some of the factors related to the just being overvalued and kind of being an extension of the hex price at 8 cents, or the hex price at SAC time, which was 20 cents. I think that just getting out competed by groups that are more serious and are willing to deploy funds. Like it's been, now almost 2 years, and I think only a couple million funds appear to have been deployed. And that was early on, that was before it launched. And then there was some injection of funds into the market, which just got yoinked away. So I think that decreases the odds that happens again, because it's basically just giving free money to whoever hits the sell button. So I think it's a tough situation for the Pulse price, and that's why another reason why I'm really trying to go outside the box here with Quantum Raffle and try to create something that can drive demand for Pulse, because like right now there's really no reason to bridge to Pulse. It's like every chain has shitcoins, every chain has DeFi, and so that's why I'm really trying, because I feel like it's really all like the last thing I can possibly think to do is to just try to build something unique that actually can drive people. But I mean, even still, that's a hard thing, because most of the people that I reach are people already in the Pulse chain ecosystem, and two, just getting the prizes large enough to where it's like something that can be attractive. So that's what I'm really hoping for with Quantum Raffle, is that it can kind of help this, because um, at a $600 million market cap in the midst of very effective competition. Um, there's a lot of space to go down here. So we shall see. Also, the gatekeeping doesn't help. Block from large triple reflex. Yeah, I mean that's that's part of business development and relationship building, which there's just been none of. It's like other chains or other products get listed instantly because they have people involved who have built rapport and relationships with the people that work at these companies, and so because it's highly competitive. And that's just the reality. I hate to say it, but Pulse looks cooked. I mean, let's try to draw some bullish scenarios here. Here, I'll give you guys some bullish hopium. One could be some type of head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders. Shoulder, head, shoulder. And then so maybe add some bullish hopium there for you guys. Either make a centralized exchange where control onboards and build market share to proper marketing or be victim of gatekeeping. I mean, it's like we have Coast, and like, so it's not the fact that there's not a legitimate on ramp. It's just a marketing problem. That's really what it is. Like, because I mean, I don't know how much money Coast makes. I don't know how much volume they're so say they collect like 0.3% on volume. There's not really been much inbound volume. I mean, here, let's just see how, I think here it says, okay, so there's been $8 million of Coast stablecoin issued. And so say they collect, I don't know, so say they collect like those funds that they custody to back the stablecoin, because I'm certain that these are fully backed. There's no reason why they wouldn't be. Like it's a legit operation. But say there's $8 million of that. I think it's been around for over a year now. So 123 times interest rates on like a high yield savings, say it's about 4%. So they've made $320K. Probably takes a number of developers and just themselves to do that. So like if their revenue from like high interest savings yield was $320K, then that's that's fine revenue, but that's not like Coinbase, which has like billions of dollars to drive into like marketing efforts and stuff. So okay, 3 minutes remaining. It's getting down to the wire. Are we going to see any? Let's see. Ticket sold. I wonder who. Let's see who it was. Let's see if it was the bot. DCA guy. So that's the bullish copium for the pulse price. And then let's give some bearish copium, which would be that, and then so this is the bearish copium for you guys. Let's look at Hex. I like to look at here. Let's look at the combined price. So this, I mean, it doesn't look as bad. I mean, realistically, like, let's confirm it, because the source that I get that data from isn't always accurate. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so that is accurate. So if we look at this, so this started in June of 20, so right after Pulsion launched. So Hex is actually kind of ranged pretty, consistently. Oh wait, let's just go to price. It's ranged fairly consistently with the combined value. I like to look at the combined value because that's relevant for, because if you have if most of your Hex is in long-term stakes, that's what's mostly relevant, because like you still have both. So I'd say this does look better than the pulse price. But yeah, I suggest, people got a little bit upset with me because I suggested that the strategy to bring glory to the ecosystem is to forget everything but eHex. A lot of people, of course, didn't agree. But I mean, what do you expect? So I still think that Hex is that's really the only thing that's like unique and differentiated, that isn't like overwhelmed with competition. Like PLS overwhelmed with competition. PulseX, there's not as much competition in terms of that, but like just the use case is just kind of just not so strong. Inc is now pretty bullish because they cut inflation dramatically. But I don't know. I think that the end result is going to be that there might only be eHex at some point, unless something drastic changes. But I don't really have expectations of that. Coast is good. We need a bias type of centralized exchange to be a long-board retail. DeFi seems to be too advanced for everyone. Yeah. Binance or Coinbase, Kraken. But I don't know. Those bridges may have been permanently burnt. Like there's, like there was a chance to to improve relationships, but that can only really happen top down, and it just didn't. Crypto environment has never been more bullish. US moving towards positive regulations, countries moving on to blockchains, banks being told they aren't free to compete using CBDCs. Yeah, I mean, it generally, generally more bullish. But like what's very different now is that a rising tide does not lift all ships. The rising tide is, maybe creates a situation where some things can succeed, but now it's just so competitive And liquidity is so fragmented, where there's in the past where institutional demand used to creep into other things because institutions could get into crypto by investing in hedge funds. But now institutions get into crypto by just buying a Bitcoin ETF. And so there's no value leaking out from there into other use cases. And then, last cycle, everything was on Ethereum or things bridged from Ethereum that you'd need ETH to get to. But now there's direct on ramping into Solana. So like completely bypassing ETH. The only use case that's like grown users in the last 2 years, it's negatively impacting other things. So like there's not really a rising tide that lifts all ships anymore. It's kind of a thing of the past. But if you were there for that, at least you caught that. But things are only just going to get more and more competitive. All right. Probably wrap up here in a minute. Let's take a look to see if any new. See what's going on. A raffle. $765 grand prize pool. $476 or $191 in virality bonus prize pool. We'll see how this goes. All right, you guys, thanks for joining me today. I guess last thing here, we'll touch on this one last bit. Quantum Raffle round 3 is currently ongoing. This is your last chance to get the Q points. Q points are like a governance mechanism for kind of the future of Quantum Raffle. Quantum Raffle, I do believe, is a key piece of what the future of society looks like, where a large swath of the population, their main American dream they are pursuing is high-risk speculation online. And so that's kind of the future that I think is worth building for. I think there's going to be a lot of demand for it. And I feel like there's some duty to try to, build things that serve, highly vulnerable and people that don't really have many other options. So, I think that this can be something good and fair that, can be something hopeful for people who maybe don't have much else hope. So it's very important to me and pretty exciting. A lot of interesting design space to explore here. So if you enter the raffle, you can you'll get these Q points. Q points will convert into something more integrated to the V2 of Quantum Raffle that's going to be rolling out here in a couple weeks. So thanks for joining me today. Thanks for the questions and the comments. Go to quantumraffle.ai, and I will see you all later. Have a good one.